You can't start a retro review series without starting from the beginning of the Voorhees saga. Let's shed some blood. We open the movie with a beautiful 1958 moonlight at Camp Crystal Lake. What could possibly go wrong? We see a shot of a peeping Tom snooping around the girl's cabin looking for some action. But when you see a girl sleeping with Annabella, that's when you say, fuck that, I'm taking my killing somewhere else. But great, here's some nice victims, all sitting around singing to Jesus, the obvious flirting going around, but the tingles of God in their panties is just too much. And it's just enough to disobey God's order of no sex before marriage. So the two horny Bible kids fuck off for a good place to fuck.
Somebody'll see.
He doesn't give a shit, he just wants to get his dick wet.
You said we were special.
I meant everything.
No, he didn't. He just wants to get in them panties and he's got no intentions of wearing protection. So the kids realize that someone's watching them while they screw.
We weren't doing anything, we were just messing around.
Mate, you just got caught, and death for you. With a nice stab to the guts, the Christian boy is dead first. But this young whore is next up and she's left it to our imagination with a nice slow-mo death scene. And for us viewers, she only got what she deserved after disobeying God's sex laws before marriage. We get the classic Friday the 13th logo on the screen. And we jump straight into June 13th, present day. And we'll gather that's a Friday in 1980, not 2023. So present day begins with this delusional hitchhiker girl. She's so delusional, she's crazy, she doesn't know what's coming up in her future. And she's so crazy, she starts talking to animals and dogs.
Hey, you speak English? How far is it to Camp Crystal Lake?
She finds a nice hillbilly diner. Don't ask the wrong questions now, love.
Excuse me, how far is Camp Crystal Lake from here?
Everyone's looking at her like she's an overpriced hooker. Who would ask such a thing? A random hillbilly trucker offers her a lift. Why not? I've never heard of getting killed by a stranger that gives lifts to hitchhikers before. Now on their way to the truck, Crazy Ralph. He warns Annie. He warns Annie, do not go there.
It's got a death curse.
Anyone that fucking crazy you would 100% listen to. During the drive, that hillbilly trucker, he even warns Annie, don't go there, it is cursed. Annie tells him he sounds crazy, just like Crazy Ralph. So the trucker, he drops her off as far as he can go. And hey, what a great place to stop. The Crystal Lake Cemetery. So Kevin Bacon, another camp counselor, and his girl, they arrive at Camp Crystal Lake. And there's head camp counselor Steve. He's chopping wood.
Alice! I want to get this tree stump out. Get on this side.
Because when I like to chop wood, I like to wear no shirt, little jean shorts, boots with red socks, a little bandana around my neck. Nice work, Steve. And it must be a Camp Crystal Lake policy to wear weird shit. Because if you want to paint something, because you must wear no shirt, white pants, and red overalls. Fashion statement. Nice fashion, Mike. Back to Annie hitchhiking, and it looks like she's got another free ride. It's all going great until they drive straight past the Camp Crystal Lake turnoff. Annie begs the driver to slow down and stop, but before she can slow down and stop, Annie just opens that door and she takes a nice dive straight out the door into the woods. Nice jump, Annie. With a hurt knee, Annie can't run far. And in horror movie chase scene fashion, Annie keeps falling down, only to be the next camp victim with a nice beautiful slash straight across the throat. She didn't see that coming. Now back to the camp. Now while the camp counselors, they're screwing around down at the lake, having fun swimming, Kevin Bacon wearing tiny little Speedos. It must have been a cold day, Kevin. It must have been a cold, cold day. The killer is stalking them and watching them from the woods. And for the first time, after seeing this a million times before, I noticed something. I noticed the killer, when they're looking, is wearing a ring on their hand. A female ring. Hint, hint. How did I never see this before or notice this? Now back at the cabin, Alice is frightened by an innocent, friendly snake. But with the heroics of Bill, he murders that snake. With our first on-screen live kill. That was a real kill. Now a cop comes around looking for Crazy Ralph, giving us the idea that Crazy Ralph is the killer.
Looking for somebody.
Now, who's that?
Guy named Ralph. Town crazy.
Nice try, Cunningham. Nice try. But bingo, we found Ralph. He appears in the kitchen pantry with all the food, where the kids tell him just to get out, Ralphie, get out.
I'm a messenger of God. You're doomed if you stay here.
But it could have been Ralph just doing a quick cover-up because he might have just been in there getting a free feed, we don't know. Either way, he rode a long distance just to go tell them they're all doomed again. Now Ned's all depressed because he's seen Kevin Bacon get the girl, but then he noticed a stranger walk into one of the cabins.
Hello?
And damn if I've never noticed this before, but that's a figure of a woman. And a woman's shirt. Another important clue, Mr. Cunningham. Very sneaky. Now back to Kevin Bacon, and he took no time to get in his girl's pants. On the first night? Good job, Kevin. Good job. Then we do see Ned, who followed that person in the cabin. Now he's up on the top bunk with a slit throat, just watching his corpses, just watching them get it on. He looked all pretty blue and stiff. Now Kevin's finished doing the dirty deed, but his girlfriend needs to go out and take a shit break. Nothing like a dump after a good orgasm. And now we get our next kill. Probably the greatest kill of all the Friday the 13th. And bye-bye, Kevin. Now, Kevin's girlfriend is peacefully taking a dump until she's disturbed. Without needing to take a wipe after that dump, she goes and investigates, only to take an axe to her face. And she just stands there and takes it. With Bill missing and Kevin and his girlfriend dead, the rest of the camp counselors decide to play a game of strip Monopoly. And now it's an official camp orgy. Back in town at the diner, Steve, he's just enjoying and relaxing with a nice piece of pie. But he decides he's gonna come back to camp and check on his staff.
Well, what do I owe you? Just a night on the town.
Steve, you filthy bastard. Now, Steve has unfortunately broken down, and he needs a jump start. But a nice friendly police officer, he'll give you a lift. Back at the camp, Brenda decides, I'm not playing anymore. Strip Monopoly. And she wants to avoid any camp STDs, so she heads back to bed. Whilst in bed, she can hear someone screaming, "Help me! Help me!" And the first thing you do is you get out of bed and you walk out into the rain and you go and investigate.
Hello?
The lights get turned out in the archery area, and Brenda is scared shitless, only for us to hear the scream and not the death. Cunningham. So Bill and Alice, they hear the scream and they decide to go investigate. What could go wrong? They first find a bloody axe.
What is going on?
But that's not enough to scare them away. Let's keep looking. They try to make a phone call, but someone's cut the line. Who would do that? Who would do such a thing? Then their truck won't start. Something fishy is going on here. Now back to Steve and the copper. The cop gets an emergency call. He boots Steve from the car. Your free lift is over, buddy. It's fine, time for you to start walking. Steve sees a flashlight blaring in his eyes, but he kind of seems to know the person. Hey.
Hi. What are you doing out in this mess?
But they seem to not really like Steve too much, with a little bit of a stab to the guts. Now, back at the camp, Bill decides to go check the generator alone. Bad move, Bill. Bad move. Alice is left making coffees, but she has a little bit of trouble putting the coffee lids back on. Fuck it. Just let it go stale, Alice. But she notices it's a cheap, shitty brand, so she decides to go look for Bill. Alone. Now, searching for Bill, she sure does find him. Hanging from the door. Fucked up. Running away frantically, Alice barricades herself in one of the cabins. She locks that door and she puts a table and chairs and everything you can think of in that door so no one can even open it, even a magazine. But she forgot that windows are easy to break and Brenda comes flying through the window, making Alice take a shit in her pants. And Brenda can fly. She looks alive to me. Fucking help her, bitch. But Alice runs away and she meets Mrs. Voorhees. What a lovely lady.
Well, I'm Mrs. Voorhees.
She seems so nice.
Steve should never have opened this place again. There's been too much trouble here.
Good one, Steve. But Mrs. Voorhees tells the story of Jason, her son, drowning. Now Alice so terrified, Mrs. Voorhees starts going batshit crazy. She attacks Alice, but Alice took self-defense lessons and she knocks out Mrs. Voorhees cold. Alice runs away and she sees all the other dead bodies. And she fucking piss bolts off. But it didn't take long for Mrs. Voorhees to wake up and see her prey running away in fear.
Kill her, Mommy. Kill her.
Somebody forgot to take their meds. Mrs. Voorhees catches up to Alice and gives her the greatest bitch slap I have ever seen on camera. And she's not done, how about a few more? Alice gets pissed and fights back, and grabbing a gun, she doesn't shoot her, but she gun punts her straight in the cunt. That's gotta hurt, Mrs. Voorhees. Now Alice runs, she fucking runs straight to that lake. But Mrs. Voorhees, she's got a kind of steel and she shakes that off, and she's straight after her. Now Alice heads back into the other cabin, and is it just me, or does Brenda still look alive? But Alice gives no fucks and hides in the pantry. Mrs. Voorhees finds her and she breaks in like it's a scene from The Shining. Only to get cracked in the head with a frying pan. Thinking she's finished the job with the frying pan, Alice heads back down to the lake. But these Voorhees, you can't keep them down. We get another bitch fight, and with Alice finally having enough of this crazy bitch, she grabs that machete, yes, the same one that killed that fucking snake, and in slow motion fashion, Alice chops off the head of Mrs. Voorhees. Clean, straight off. Nice swing, Alice. Nice swing. And there's that ring I saw hiding in the bushes. I knew it when I'd seen it. Now the only thing to do is grab a canoe and go float in that lake until sunrise. It's so beautiful and peaceful out there. Now the cops arrive, they don't bother checking the cabins for dead bodies. No. Let's just watch Alice floating out there in the lake. And then we get Jason. You shouldn't have fucked with Mummy. Now Alice wakes up in the hospital and all she can bang on about is Jason. That boy, Jason.
The boy. Is he dead too?
Did you find that boy? Now the police think Alice is batshit crazy, but she knows what happened. She knows. The end. For a film made in 1979, released in 1980 here in Australia, the movie was fantastic. I think it was great. It was such a good traditional beginning for slasher movies, and I put it right up there with the top horror movies today. For reason being, they made the whole who is it? The whole who is it? Who is murdering everyone? Scenario type of film of when you're watching, you don't know who it is. Was it Crazy Ralph? Was it gonna be the truck driver? We never saw him again. Could it have been one of the camp counselors? We didn't know. And that was great, and that's what Cunningham did with this movie. It was very, very well put out. And then to have zombie Jason, is he a zombie now because he died when he was a kid? I don't know. Has he come back to life? You explain it in the next movies. But this movie was great. I give this 7 out of 10 hockey masks. 7 out of 10 hockey masks. I put this up there. A lot of people don't like this movie, but it started it all, and I think it's brilliant. Alright, that was my first retro review for this channel. Don't forget to like, subscribe, or do whatever the fuck you want, but a like and sub would be great. I'll be back next with Friday the 13th Part 2. Let's see what Jason does to the next lot of camp counselors. Until then, see you!